And good evening, everyone. It is issue 14 of the Grim Gazette. This is your weekly intake of weird news, paranormal analysis, and deep dives into things that strike my fancy. I am your host, T. Morris, and it is always a pleasure of getting weird here every Tuesday night, starting at 6 p.m. Eastern Time. But tonight we're doing things a little differently, everybody. We actually have a viewer request for the second half. And I should preface this by saying I had it planned out like all other Grim Gazettes, where we do weird news, we look at a couple of tickety talks, we look at a couple of YouTube shorts, we do everything that we normally do. And then we're going to get into the deep dive being a viewer request. And then literally 10 minutes before I was supposed to go live, yeah. That's when I saw a recent video from CelinaSpookyBook. And I went, oh, we got to talk about this. Wow. Do we got to talk about this? And so now instead of doing weird news, paranormal tickety talks, paranormal YouTube shorts, paranormal Instagram lives, things like that, we're going to do actually two deep dives. One spawned from CelinaSpookyBook. And then in the second half of the show, we're going to be doing a reaction video to something that pertains to me and the streamer known as Doug. That's going to be the second half. But let's focus first on a couple of things in this first half. Now, I want to preface some of this stuff by and actually doing a couple of circle backs to something that we talked about in our last stream, in our last Grim Gazette. And I'm going to preface this first, then we're going to jump to the clip, and then I'll talk about it some more. But I wanted to make sure that we talked about this because for those of you who were here last week, you know that things got very, very tense. You know things got very, very tense when I was taking a look at this clip from Ghost Club Paranormal, and this is Jade. Jade and Mandy were visiting a place called the Garnet House. So if you recall last week's issue 13, we talked a bit about Ghost Club Paranormal and their visit to the Garnet House. And what had happened was that we had a clip of something extremely sus. And I wanted to come back and talk a bit more about some of the stuff that I found out concerning Jade, Mandy, and the folks over at the Garnet House. Okay, so there's going to be a moment where you see Jade put a REM pod, which is a device you see on a lot of ghost shows, sets out its own EMF field, and whenever something breaks that EMF field, it sets off an alarm. You're going to see that in a moment, okay? So just wanted to make sure to take note of where everybody is at this particular point. Okay, I don't know why my space bar isn't working here. There we go.
Here, I'll walk in there and see.
How far do you have to
So
go?
there's the other guy who owns the house.
Dang, dude. He had to go all the way in.
Maybe if something was in here, we went in here and it made its way in there.
It's very possible.
Okay. So that's where Jade Jade puts down the REM pod. All right. Here's where the questionable moment comes up. And I'm actually going to slow it down. Actually, I take that back. I'm going to play this at regular speed, and I'll just let you all watch it. Then we'll go back and we'll look at it in a slower speed.
Oh my god, my camera didn't fucking, I don't think it oh my god.
Okay. So here's the incident in question. You see the doll here, okay? The doll is a rag doll, precariously balanced on this rocking chair. And I want to make sure that is clear. It is a rag doll. It is a rag doll. It is not a figurine, and it is not a doll that has like some type of spinal system, if you will, that allows it to be flexed. This would be like taking a teddy bear or some kind of floppy Raggedy Ann doll and balancing it so that it will stand in a rocking chair. We're going to play this again, and then I'm going to slow it down and try to capture the moment without the without sound, so that you'll see what we were talking about last week. And then I'm going to bring you up to speed as to why I'm bringing this up again. Here we go.
Here, we went in here
Okay.
and made its way in there.
It's very possible.
I thought it was like another spirit
So-
talker.
You'll see Jade. You'll see Jade.
Oh my god, my camera didn't fucking. I don't think it caught. Oh my god.
The doll came out of the chair.
No, it fucking did not,
Yes,
dude.
it did. You're
No,
just,
it
like,
fucking
standing
did
there.
not.
All right. So everybody's losing their mind right now, right? I literally never watch real paranormal stuff because your girl's a weenie. Luna, you come to a safe space. It's okay. But here are a couple of, well, now I'm going to play it. I'm trying to pace myself in this because even rewatching it, I'm like, but let's go on ahead and let's do this. We're going to do a playback of half speed. We are also going to take out the volume. So here we go. All right. Yeah. She places it. And when you watch this video, keep an eye on the upper part of this doorway, particularly when it comes into focus. So she turns around, starts walking forward. Camera comes into focus. This was what set my chat off last week, and I'm going to back it up again, and I'm going to commentate it. And I'm also going to go into some of the things that were sending off alarm bells with me. Well done. For you are brand spanking new in this stream, Iswoo, and you just caught it. And we're going to talk about it. But here's the first thing that's kind of bugging me. First off, this is a rag doll in a rocking chair, standing up. And if you have ever, if you have, whether it's a small kid or people with small kids, you know how hard it is to make a rag doll stand up in a chair like this. But he's got it in there, and they're on a paranormal investigation. They can't stand up, exactly. All right, so that's already red flag number one. Let's see if I can't stop it on the second one that is my major red flag. Okay, here's red flag number two. According to Jade, that rag doll is part of this guy's collection. You'll notice that this collection is precariously put on all kinds of stuff like this, like tiny edges. And in some cases, if you watch all of this video, you'll actually see dolls exactly like this perched on top of curtain rods. You didn't hear me incorrectly. You heard me right. Curtain rods.
What I care about is the judgment of T. Morris, who wrote Twitch for Dummies.
So just putting stuff precariously like these dolls on those types of platforms already, I mean, my head is all this. That's just yes, why? That's a big question, but we'll get to the next thing. So let's move on. Let's move on. As you see, Jade puts down the REM pod, and it was fascinating that something was setting off that REM pod pretty hard. She comes out here, swings around, REM pod is going nuts, but then she does this. She moves forward. Paranormal Investigation 101. You don't move an inch until you are in focus. So that is, and this is what aggravates me as a paranormal investigator, because whenever something really extraordinary happens, like this doll supposedly jumping out of a rocking chair and landing on the floor, a lot of times it's either poorly lit or it's out of focus. And the thing is, Arelis, I asked about their camera because I was this was many moons ago. I was shopping for a new camera, and I asked them, what kind of camera do you carry? And it was one of the $500 jobbies. So yeah, that's a bummer. That's a serious bummer. I would have been like, I'm not moving until I get this camera into focus. Then I'll start moving forward, because that showed no signs of stopping. But then this happens. Okay, so you see the doll, and then yeah, let's back that up. You see something there, and then if I can catch it just right, something there, and that right there. Something there. Starts here. I'm about to break YouTube. There it is, right there. So I actually got in touch with Mandy from Ghost Club, not Mandy, sorry, Jade from Ghost Club Paranormal. And I'm going to stick by exactly what I told her, which is I do not think they are in any way, shape, or form. I don't think they knew this was going to happen. I honestly do not think that they are in on whatever's going on at this house. And I had a really, really lovely email exchange with Jade. And here's my this is the follow-up that I wanted to make. Because a lot of people are going, whoa, they're faking evidence. I want to make sure that it's clear on OSI's POV, particularly after talking to Jade and Mandy, because here's the thing. There are patterns you have to look for, not just in what's happening during an investigation, but also with people. And one of the things that Jade pointed out, and we saw this in their comments section, was that people are less sus of Jade and Mandy and more sus about the two guys that are running this place. Because apparently this happens a lot. This happens a lot. The doll comes out of that chair. According to the comments that we being me and my wife read about this particular location, this happens a lot. The dolls just come flying off. And there was also some back and forth with Jade and some people in their comment section, and she did go on record as saying, we didn't meet these guys until we got to the property, and they seem really sweet, really nice, really genuine guys. And I'm like, you know what? People can seem like genuine people. The people that I dealt with in Charleston seemed like really nice people. Yeah, exactly. What's the cost? Or the coat? Yeah. The thing that I was the point that I was getting at was people can seem really nice on the surface, but if they've got a business to run, particularly in the paranormal, they are yes, exactly, Lizard. Some people are very good at faking it. Now, I am based on the reply that I got, and I'm not really going to go. I could read her reply, but I feel like that would be that would be a foul in the back and forth that we had, because I don't think when Jade sent me that email, she intended for me to read the letter out loud. So I'm not going to do that, but I am going to paraphrase. And she has lost sleep over this. She has, and I feel terrible for her because she sent it to some people that she trusted to debunk it. They couldn't, so they sent it to other debunkers that Jade doesn't feel comfortable with them seeing it. And here's the thing, Iswu and Aurelius, that I think should also be pointed out. In this particular video, we see Mandy perform a crossing over. And one of the problems that I have with the crossing over wasn't what Mandy did, wasn't the fact that she was crossing over spirits. It's that these guys were totally cool with it. Something tells me that they either downplay it or they just pretend that it didn't happen. Now, according to Jade, she was like, I didn't see a thread, and I don't know how they could have I don't know how they could have pulled that off. But, and I mean this in the nicest possible way, I think Jade really wants to believe these guys. I think Jade really wants to have some faith in these guys. But when you own a property and you want it to be, you want people to come to it, you perpetuate whatever's there. You perpetuate the story. You keep the story alive. If you believe that what Mandy did was cross over a soul or some of the souls that are currently there, that's taking money out of their pocket. And according to Jade, she has looked at the clip herself several times, and I don't mind going back a bit to where we actually see Jade. That really good shot of Jade on the steps. Let me just back up. Jade has very long blonde hair. It is possible, because I know I have had long hair in the past myself. And the thing about long hair, I want to believe, I know, so do I, Aurelius. It is possible that could have been a strand of her hair. And that's what she believes she caught on camera, was a strand of her hair. The reason that I'm having a tough time buying into the strand of hair theory is because when she backed away, you saw this not once, but you saw it once, twice, 3 times pop up. And the guy who is pulling on the string, he's standing over here. Like if I'm Jade, he's over here. Long hair gets everywhere, but not like that. Yeah, and that's what. And to Jade's credit, and I will take her word for it, she is totally on board with these guys, and she believes that was her hair. It's hard, and I wanted to revisit this because I do think something sus is happening at this house. But I honestly also think that Ghost Club Paranormal, I don't think they're in on it. I really don't think they're in on it. And I remember she also said something very funny in her email. She said to me, I can't speak for how this guy displays his doll collection. And I'm like, okay, one, you're not displaying a doll collection. You're not displaying a doll collection. If you watch all of this video, this is not a display. If this guy truly has a doll collection, why is that doll sitting on the corner of a curtain rod? That's not displaying a doll collection. That is pretty much setting up a prop. That's not displaying. I think Secondhand said it best. It's staged. And doll collectors, yeah, legit doll collectors wouldn't do this to their prized possessions. Yes, in the words of Aurelius, we have issues. So I wanted to touch on that. Okay, now let's get to what I wanted to talk about. And to get to what I want to talk about with CelinaSpookyBook, I hate to break it to you, but we are going to have to go back to these two. Okay, for those of you who may or may not know, and I'm gonna cut off the music again for this. For those of you who may or may not know, This is Cody on the left, Satori on the right. And we're going to play 2 quick clips from their interview with Project Fear. And if you remember, somebody had a question here. Hold on. I have a question as a new person. What is setting off the device in the first place if the equipment isn't theirs? Now that's a great question. That's the part that's intriguing. So that was their equipment. That was a REM pod. Now, how a REM pod works is it has an antenna, and then there's a small device that creates an electromagnetic charge, and it's created from a 9-volt battery. You'll hear some people say, well, it's just a glorified theremin, and they're right. What happens is, and I'll just say this is this is the device. So let's say this is REM pod. So it has an antenna, right? And what happens is that the idea is that something comes close enough to the REM pod antenna that it sets off the alarms that you hear. Okay, if all the alarms go off, in theory, it means that something is touching the antenna. And what was so compelling about what was happening in that moment was that Jade had set up her REM pod, walked away from it, and then after a few seconds, the alarms start going off. That is a legit paranormal experience because technically something needed to be breaking the EMF field to make it go off. Would a thread have set it off? Probably not. Probably not, unless it was a really tight thread, right? And it was brushing up against the antenna, which again, I don't think it was. So was what was affecting the REM pod paranormal? Possibly. But because of the doll and because of the sus movement of whatever was happening, I did, and I'm getting there. But with the sus things that was happening with the possible, was that a strand of hair? Was that fishing wire? That's been overshadowing what happened with the REM pod. So we have a lot of questions, but I have fewer questions after my exchange with Jade. I have fewer questions for GCP and a lot more questions for the Garnett house. And I'll be the first one to say it. If I had walked into that house for a preliminary and I saw all these dolls, I'd be like, okay, all of these have got to come down because that's going to contaminate everything. But now we get to this. This is the true deep dive that I wanted to go into. And to truly appreciate the deep dive, we have to return to Cody and Satori. Now, yes, secondhand, yes. You are absolutely right. I promised myself that I wasn't going to come back to these two. And if you're wondering who these two are, if you recall, last October, everybody, I want to make sure I'm clear on that. Last October, Sam and Colby did an entire week's worth of content at the Conjuring House, and it involved these two knuckleheads, Cody and Satori. The worst part about this, though, is that Satori Hawes over here, she is the daughter of Jason Hawes, as in one of the founders of TAPS. Halloween, week of Halloween, 2023. And Sam and Colby are at the Conjuring House, as in the house where where the story that became the movie The Conjuring happened, right? They were there. And these two were there. Now, Cody and Satori, Cody and Satori, did this thing for Sam and Colby that reduced both of them to tears because they were under the impression that their dead relatives were talking to them through Satori and Cody. And what Satori and Cody do is they do this weird, you will never be able to listen to the alphabet the same way again. They do what they call the human Ouija board. And what happens is, the theory is anyway, is that there are spirits that are wandering around the Conjuring House, and you hear them walk up, and then they will make these little knocks. They'll make these little knocks, and they will communicate and tell you what letter they're choosing, and then they spell out a sentence. If you want to take a look at some previous some previous Grim Gazettes. I did something about them. I did something about how Project Fear, I believe, debunked them at the Conjuring House. And and this right here is I wanted to play 2 clips from the interview that Project Fear did with Cody and Satori. And they're going to play into what just happened. All right, what just happened with CelinaSpookyBook. Let's play this first clip. Oh, and the reason why these two are under so much scrutiny and under the hot seat is because no one has proven it yet, but it feels like and it seems like the knocking that people are hearing is basically somebody wiggling their joints and making their joints do these weird popping noises. Okay? Again, if you don't know, the full story behind Cody and Satori and Sam and Colby, I would say this: search it on YouTube, but go gently. Go very, very gently, because it was for many, many months the talk of paranormal YouTube. Okay? And thank you for that posture check, Giraffe. I certainly do appreciate it. So I'm going to play this clip first.
I think it's important because, like, when I saw that question, the only reason I'm bringing it up because then I started to think about our footage. I'm like, oh yeah, like you really were talking most of the time.
I go so fast too. That's also something else a lot of people say, like, you go through the alphabet and talk so fast. I'm like, because I want to get as much as I can out in such a short amount of time.
Okay, so what you guys do is obviously like altruistic. It's good.
Yes.
You believe it's fully like created for good.
Yeah.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
And there's also like this element that you guys were talking about, or at least you were talking about, Satori, that like you don't want people to like have the ability to disprove every single thing. Don't you think though, like if people could just disprove everything, like all that whole list, if we had a list of things and you could just check them all off and people were like, yes.
I don't think people would. I mean, there's some individuals out there that no matter what you show them, they're still not going to.
I could have a spirit sit
We
right
could do
here
this
next
for
to
days.
me, and
We
nobody
have.
would.
We've done it. We've been there and done it. And you know, we've definitely learned that there's some people that you just can't change their mind.
And there are some people, and the reason we say what we say is because there are some people that we have done this for and we've gone out of our way to try to prove ourselves to in a private setting, and it's done more harm than good for them. Like mentally, you know, like they weren't ready for it. Religiously, they weren't ready for it. Like, you know, like they literally had a negative effect from what we did.
So,
Okay, I want to play that one more time. Not for what Giraffe did, because Giraffe is absolutely right. That's what she said. Please pay attention to what Satori has to say here, because this is the no. All right, secondhand, you take care of yourself, okay? You take care of yourself. But thank you very much for keeping me honest and having me make sure that I brought everybody up to speed. But listen very closely to what Satori has to say here.
We've definitely learned that there's some people that you just can't change their mind.
And there are some people, and the reason we say what we say is because there are some people that we have done this for and we've gone out of our way to try to prove ourselves to in a private setting, and it's done more harm than good for them. Like mentally, you know, like they weren't ready for it. Religiously, they weren't ready for it. Like, you know, like they literally had a negative effect from what we did.
so
Okay. So they went out of their way. They went out of their way to show people just how legit they were, and it was too much. It was too much for some people. Those are not my words. Those are not my interpretation. That is coming straight from Satori. Here's another clip I'd like to play for you. Wait for it, Aurelius. Trust me, the payoff is going to be worth it. The payoff is going to be worth it. Okay. So here's another clip from later on in the interview with Project Fear and Cody and Satori.
are not popping our joints.
So the first thing.
Okay, I have to back this up just a little bit, just so you can get the wind-up question. All right, here we go.
One
Okay.
video of a guy like doing something, I don't know what he's doing inside his shoe with his toes, but it is like popping. It's making a weird noise.
Mm-hmm.
So like, would you guys be willing to do the session with your shoes off and your socks off, just to show people, like, look at our feet. We are not popping our joints.
So the first thing sort of plays into the whole I don't want to force everybody to believe, because I wonder what that would happen to society if we did that. But also another part is, and I'm going to be completely honest with you, I don't want my foot fetished on the internet. So
All right. So, making it clear, she doesn't want to get into the feet thing. But let's listen to that lead up. Let's listen to that lead up one more time.
Toes, but it is like popping. It's making a weird noise. So, like, would you guys be willing to do the session with your shoes off and your socks off, just to show people, like, look at our feet. We are not popping our joints.
So the first thing sort of plays into the whole I don't want to force everybody to believe, because I wonder what that would happen to society if we did that. But also,
Okay. Because I wonder what would happen to society if we did that, right? I want you to keep both of those clips in your head as we go to Celina's video. And what you're going to hear from Celina, well, let's just say it happens pretty quickly in the opening. Here we go.
You're not dead unless the Fox sisters say so. Many have tried to pin down spiritualism, but in reality, it was much more than just a passing trend. It was ugly, to say the least.
And I should point this out. Celina posted this 3 days ago. And I should also point out, too, both Celina and Call Me Chris, they're both in tight. They are both in tight with Sam and Colby. And they were both harsh defenders of what Sam and Colby were standing by when it came to Satori and Cody. Please keep that in mind as we watch this latest video from CelinaSpookyBook.
The practices back then were not okay. Yet, when two young sisters in the middle of the 1800s claimed to be able to communicate with spirits, they quickly rose to fame as mediums and unintentionally started a pattern of momentum even they couldn't stop. So, does it truly work to resurrect the dead and gamble with the truth of their last moments? Here is how the sisters opened a portal we truly could have avoided. Hey Boo Crew, it's Celina, and welcome to the Haunted Estate. And before we spill the tea, we drink the tea. Yes. One night, the Fox sisters and their supposedly haunted farmhouse became a cultural phenomenon. And since then, things have not been able to get back to normal. As word spread about the unexplained rapping, more and more neighbors showed up to look at the inside of the sisters' room. After a comprehensive inspection, the females were determined to be completely honest. And a few questions after, it was quickly determined that this was the spirit of Charles B. Rosna, a peddler who had been killed in the house a few years earlier. At first, the girls thought Mr. Rosna was indeed the devil. They went as far as to call him Mr. Splitfoot, referring to the cloven hooves of Satan. Yet, upon closer examination, the knocks from the spirit appeared to point to a human soul gone rogue. It was also reported by nosy detectives that under the house they discovered possible belongings of the deceased Mr. Rosna, including bone fragments and personal items.
So just real quick, I want to point something out about CelinaSpookyBook. I am a fan of Celina's. If you were to say, hey T, you can pick one team that OSI can team up with on YouTube, who would it be? In a heartbeat, I would say CelinaSpookyBook and Call Me Chris. We did a review of their Highway to Hell series, Chris and Celina, and it's great. It's great. It does a really nice job of straddling the line between paranormal entertainment and paranormal investigation. Only a couple times it went a little too far, but for the most part, I really enjoyed their series, and I really hope they do it again. I really, really hope they do it again. They think that they are the Joker or something, and here's the other thing: Celina is funny as hell. But the thing is, when you see her in this mode, in like the hyper focus mode of the paranormal, she is untouchable. She is absolutely amazing.
So, as expected, Maggie and Kate were taken to live with family members during all this chaos and the anticipation surrounding the discovery. But the unexplained knocking unexpectedly followed the girls wherever they went. Where, when, did everything go wrong? It was 1848, and before anyone could make sense of it, things went south in Hydesville, New York. At nightfall, a frightened Margaret Fox pulled her neighbor from the house so he could see the terrifying sight that had alarmed her so much. When the neighbor arrived at the farmhouse, Margaret showed her 2 young daughters, 11-year-old Catherine, Kate Fox, and 15-year-old Margaretta, Maggie Fox. And in their bedrooms, the girl's mother had been receiving bizarre statements from them. After all, seeing their proof, they went straight to a neighbor to verify what she was seeing.
CelinaSpookyBook does give incredible narrator voice. She and Chris, they got the vocal pipes. They got the pipes. Yes, Vi. We're talking about the Fox sisters, which has come up quite often in comparison to Satori and Cody. Again, keep that in mind along with the earlier clips that we played, and you're going to see where we go with this.
The girls claimed that every night noises such as taps, knocks, and rumbles filled their bedroom. The sounds were unnerving, but perhaps so more was the impression that the source could be alive or not. The ghostly noisemaker would knock answers to the girls as they asked questions. The spirit even correctly identified the girls' ages when asked to do so. It provided logical responses to questions. Then, when requested to indicate yes or no with certain numbers of taps, the unidentified went as far as to claim a solid yes when asked if it was the tortured spirit of a murdered soul. It was then that a chain of events would influence spiritual development, both within the outside of the United States and give rise to many of the concepts and customs that today are widely associated with the world of spirits. In 1848, radical new ideas were born in New York. 2 prominent individuals, Quakers, Amy and Isaac Post, were involved in many of these bold new ideas. Apart from being strong supporters of freedom and women's rights, the pair had a close relationship with the Fox family. That is why the couple was open to the idea that the 2 children Kate had moved in with had a special talent, when Leah Fox, the oldest of the 2 kids, appeared to channel the spirit of the Post family's deceased daughter. The Post turned out to be among some of the earliest advocates of the sisters, reserving theaters and music halls so others could see the amazing sisters and the alleged communication that they had with the dead.
Okay, so we're all tracking here. We're all tracking what the direction of this is going for the Fox sisters. Again, I'm going to ask, keep in mind what Satori was talking about in those 2 clips that I played for you from that Project Fear interview. Okay, back to it.
Intimate home seances also became popular social gatherings.
Can I just say real quick though? I want to just say real quick. If you missed it, hang on.
With the dead. Intimate home seances.
That's Ava Green, everybody. Do yourself a huge effing favor. Find the show Penny Dreadful. Watch the first 2 seasons and only the first 2 seasons, and you're welcome. This was one of the most badass shows ever put on cable. I loved Penny Dreadful. It was such a damn good show, and the showrunners effed it up. But anyway, let me go ahead and back up. And now I'm going to play this without any interruptions. Here we go.
And the alleged communication that they had with the dead. Intimate home seances also became popular social gatherings that drew sizable crowds as the Fox sisters' fame increased. Kate, Maggie, and now Leah would speak with the recently departed through noises that appeared to materialize out of thin air, all in front of a stunned crowd. While doubt is a normal response for audiences used to a wide range of frauds and fantastical claims, in 1848 the spiritual abilities of the Fox sisters were sufficiently convincing, enough to draw notable people like Sir Arthur Conan. Kate, Maggie, and Leah's fans even thought the girls had broken through the barrier that separated mankind from the spirit realm. And that is probably one of the reasons why 6 days after his death, on July 13th, 1930, in the middle of his memorial service at London Royal Albert Hall, Arthur Conan Doyle made an appearance, adding to the mystery and intrigue that seemed to be never-ending. Although no one saw him, Estelle Roberts, a spirit medium, gave the attendees the reassurance that Doyle had fulfilled his vow on his deathbed, coming back to provide evidence that communicating with the dead is indeed feasible. And the Fox sisters stood for religious transformation to a great number of their followers, an intellectual growth so immense that it could alter the very essence of humanity. And it wasn't long until an increasing number of people started claiming to be able to communicate with spirits. As a result, spirit mediums gained popularity in rich social circles as both entertainment and a means of spiritual exploration. In many such communities, the mystery and appeal of what could lie beyond, also coupled with the seeming ability that certain gifted people unlocked its riddles, was too much for religious people to withstand. But where was the truth?
Oh, wait a minute. Can we go on ahead and back that up? Can we back that clip up? But let's let that clip play again. Let's let that clip play again, shall we?
Memorial service at London Royal Albert Hall, Arthur Conan Doyle made an appearance, adding to the mystery and intrigue that seemed to be never ending. Although no one saw him, Estelle Roberts, a spirit medium, gave the attendees the reassurance that Doyle had fulfilled his vow on his deathbed, coming back to provide evidence that communicating with the dead is indeed feasible. And the Fox sisters stood for religious transformation to a great number of their followers, an intellectual growth so immense that it could alter the very essence of humanity. And it wasn't long until an increasing number of people started claiming to be able to communicate with spirits. As a result, spirit mediums gained popularity in rich social circles as both entertainment and a means of spiritual exploration. In many such communities, the mystery and appeal of what could lie beyond, also coupled with the seeming ability that certain gifted people unlocked its riddles, was too much for religious people to withstand.
Was too much for religious people to withstand. I mean,
that's it, man. Game over, man. It's game over.
You see where I'm going with? Yeah, exactly, guy. You know, and I'm going to let it play just a little bit longer because this is a pretty fascinating deep dive that Selena goes into as well. But I'm just going to keep going here.
But where was the truth? And when did it begin to bleed into what we now call spiritualism, erasing the boundaries of reality? See, there was plenty of proof that the Fox's rapping was fake during the first 4 years of their popularity. Some ironically noted how often the ghosts of well-known people like Benjamin Franklin materialized at the Fox's seances. Another couldn't help but observe that the great man's grasp of grammar and spelling had drastically declined since he'd passed away.
Is this starting to sound familiar? For those of you familiar with what happened at the Conjuring House, this is starting to sound familiar. But instead of Benjamin Franklin showing up, it's all your family members. Where I was getting triggered with the whole thing with the Conjuring House was, in fact, the way it was very manipulative. The way that they were reducing teams like Project Fear to tears. But no one seemed to ask, why are these spirits all hanging out at the Conjuring House? But on top of all this, the point I'm getting at is that Selena, who was, at least to my knowledge, was a staunch defender of what was going on with Sam and Colby and everything at the Conjuring House, including Chris. Chris has gone radio silent. She's gone radio silent in the matter. And Selena just dropped this 3 days ago. So yeah. I feel like I'm getting a message from the great beyond of Canada. And I feel that this message from Canada is calling shenanigans on Cody and Satori. Because, yeah, what they do is manipulative AF. Yes. Yeah. So even Benedict agrees with me, right?
Then there were occasions when Franklin and other stiffs chose not to show up at all since the circumstances didn't suit them. Not to mention, cushions were positioned between the girls' feet and the wooden planks during a performance in Buffalo. That night, the only sound in the air was that of the sound of strange stillness. Of course, Leah launched her standard defense. Only people with pure heart and unwavering faith would be able to see conclusive evidence of the girls' abilities, and that the negative energy of cynics contaminated the channel between the girls and the spirits. It was the perfect example of magical thinking and circular logic. And so, driven by the force of self-delusion, spiritualism expanded swiftly through Great Britain, possibly being the initial American cultural export that enslaved the ancient homeland. And in all its irony, Kate was heavily involved with that, putting on performances in which spirits materialized as well through rapping. It's unknown exactly how she accomplished that, but at her seances, visions were reported to manifest in odd psychic light. By then, the mystique of the Fox sisters had heavily captivated the British, just as it had the Americans, and Leah, in particular, benefited from the reputation that crossed the continents. She had been a single mother before the Hydesville wrapping, hampered by the widespread social constraints associated with being a born woman. So if one good thing happened that came out of the entire hoax was probably that the women dominated the field of spiritual mediumship, an aspect of entertainment industry that the sisters had especially contributed more than anybody else could even start to create.
Thank you, Guy. Thank you, Guy. And as you're seeing, this is, and I do recommend to everybody that they watch the rest of this video, because as you can see, we've now gone from, the beginning of spiritualism to Celina just calling it as it is, a hoax. And she goes pretty hard. Now, the first half of the video, but what I find really interesting about this video is it starts off going after the Fox sisters. It ends talking about the Ouija board, which I thought was really fascinating. Also a very clever, I don't want to say passive aggressive, but let's just say disarming way to end the video, because instead of it focusing on the Fox sisters, which again, everybody was talking about the Fox sisters and Satori and Cody at one time, but then she ends on talking about the Ouija board. And I really believe this was more like Celina's way of saying, yeah, I'm calling shenanigans, but I'm gonna end on just a nice little happy note about the Ouija board. And and it's a great video. I highly recommend it. But I find Celina speaking up about this, and if I'm reaching for it, feel free to call me out. Feel free to call me out in the comments section when this goes live on YouTube. Feel free to call me out in chat right now.
That's what I appreciate about you.
But I really do think this is Celina's way of weighing in on the whole Cody Satori, Sam and Colby thing. I promised I wouldn't talk about this, but when this dropped, I was like, nope. We're going back to the well one more time, man. We're going back there one more time. And I hope chat is willing to indulge me, because wow. Because again, during the brouhaha with Sam and Colby, Chris and Celina were steadfast. They were really sticking up for Sam and Colby. I think maybe hindsight is 2020. I just found that some of the things that Celina said in that video were really direct responses to what Cody and Satori, particularly Satori, was saying in that interview with the good folks from Project Fear. And I do recommend, if you want to find out more about all the stuff that's happened here, and if you want my particular spin on it, take a look at some previous cat. I'm gonna get you, Pumpkin. We're up on a break. Can I just finish the segment, please? God.
He's got cats on stream?
I wish I didn't sometimes.
What can't Sea Monster do? I'm not even being facetious. It's like a really good stream.
Except for when the cat wants his damn pumpkin. Ah! Don't look away innocently. Don't you look away Benedict, you look at me. You look at me when I'm berating you on stream. You look at me, buddy. He literally did this, everybody. He literally did this. God, I'm such a sucker for this cat. I'm going to get him his pumpkin, all right? But I want to finish this thought. The thought being that this feels like Celina's direct response to everything that's going on, to everything that was going on.
Does it have to be human? Does it have
And
to
now
be
my
mine?
mods kick in. And
Where
now,
am I supposed to get it?
Missy.
is this what it's like? Is this what it feels like to be Doug when the mods turn on you? I believe this is what it feels like when the mods turn on you.
T. Morris is proud of me.
Okay, on that note, I've made my point. I've made my point. And that brings us to the end of the first half of the Grim Gazette. I hope you all are enjoying the content. I hope you all are enjoying your stay here. And hey, how you doing there? How you doing there, Val? Good to see you. Wah, wah, wah. Yeah, of course you'd stick up for that. His mods tend to get banned from his antics more. Yeah, so we noticed. Okay, so right now what we're going to do is we're going to take a quick break, and then I'm going to come back with the second half of the Grim Gazette, which we're doing again a little differently on popular demand. This is a viewer request. I've been asked to do a reaction video to the Doug video that has been, making the rounds, if you will, has been helping this stream grow exponentially. And thank you all for sticking around for the first half of the Grim Gazette. If you haven't taken your meds, please take your meds. If you haven't hydrated, if you have not hydrated, I need to hydrate. So please hydrate. If you're feeling a little peckish, go on ahead and get something to eat. That is straight from Twitch Dad, okay? I'm going to get this guy his pumpkin. Hopefully he's going to chill out a little bit. And can you take someone else's meds? Consent is everything, Sir Wales. Consent is everything. If someone consents to you taking their meds, so long as you replace them, then that is between you and the other person. I'm just saying. All right. So please make sure to take care of yourselves during this break. Get up and stretch if you haven't done that already. We will be right back with the second half of the Grim Gazette.